time, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Senator Hickenlooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Beyer, obviously Coloradans support conservation and protection for our public lands, like most states. These lands boost the $17 billion recreation economy, not to mention all the wildlife and watershed benefits that accrue. You're nominated for a role that would oversee the Bureau of Land Management, which manages lands for multiple processes or uses. You're certainly experienced in the oil and gas side of things, but you're also going to have to transition to a broader lens now and look at making sure that we ensure healthy lands, diversity of landscapes, reliable access to outdoor recreation. Will you work with us to make sure that we maintain these approaches to conservation and protection of our public lands?
Senator, I appreciate you pointing that out, and absolutely I agree with you and commit to working with you on that.
Great, thank you. Mr. Garish, nuclear energy could play a huge role in our national security, and I share the frustration of many organizations, Nuclear Energy Institute, the Colorado Nuclear Alliance, Nuclear Innovation Alliance, that the DOE has let go more than half its staff at the Loan Program Office. The Loan Program Office, LPO, one of the most effective federal offices supporting new nuclear projects in the United States. How is the administration, from your perspective, plan to expand domestic nuclear energy while simultaneously dramatically reducing the staff that would be most critical for that expansion?
Well, I am hopeful that as applications come into LPO for additional nuclear projects, that there is sufficient staff to handle them, and I see no reason that currently, and I'm not totally familiar with the staff situation in LPO, but I anticipate that we will have the staff to handle that.
So if you find there's insufficient staff, you will raise your voice and say, we need more staff.
Indeed.
Good. Good to hear that. Dr. Travnik, the Department of Interior recently announced some of the emergency permitting procedures to accelerate the development of domestic resources, critical minerals. As has been noted, this initiative seeks to reduce multi-year review processes to, well, as much as possible, but in some cases as quickly as 28 days. I'm an outspoken, I guess I'd say, supporter of bipartisan permitting reform. I emphasize bipartisan permitting reform. But I am concerned about some of these drastic actions. What are the litigation risks of taking such dramatic steps to accelerate these timelines without an act of Congress? In other words, are we creating far more obstacles and problems in the future than we as we seek to circumvent the existing structure? And then how do you justify operating under a national energy emergency while excluding key technologies like solar, wind, energy storage from these new permitting procedures?
Senator, thank you for the question. Yes, we have been directed through the presidential order in regards to the energy emergency that we see here in this country. I know that this committee has been active as it relates to finding ways to streamline the permitting processes. The team at Interior has been working very hard to try to see if there's any ways to streamline them even further. And that's where you did see this last week, where there was a new permitting process that was rolled out to try to expedite that, to make sure that we can develop the resources, also get the infrastructure needed to make sure that we're getting that clear energy dominance. At the same time, it also is looking at just ESA, NHPA. I know there was a question earlier also too related to tribes. So the department's going to work really hard to implement that.
Great, thank you. And I'll ask you each, just there have been some, I think in some quarters, serious discussions about large-scale sales of public lands for the generation of revenue for the federal government. I just wanted to ask each of you to give your authentic opinion as to whether that's a worthy outcome. And I'm a great believer in budgets and frugality, but I think wide-scale sale of public lands just for the generation of revenue seems very ill-advised. I just want to hear each of your opinion on that.
Thank you, Senator, for the question. We know as it relates to federal lands, there's a lot of multi-use efforts that are associated with them.
I'm just talking about the sale. So I understand multi-use, and I understand that. And in some mountain towns, you can sell an acre or two from the BLM that they can use for affordable housing or workforce housing. I get that. I'm not against that. I'm talking about larger scale sale of public lands to generate revenue, solely to generate revenue for the federal government.
Yes, and at the Department of the Interior right now, we do have a directive through an executive order to review all of those public lands, seeing if there are any opportunities. So it would be working with the states, looking for opportunities to see if there is any
So
opportunity.
you're okay with that, all right?
Senator, Congress has the authority to dispose of public lands, and I agree with my colleague. From the interior perspective, we would look to the states, any state looking to do a lands transfer.
So you said Congress has the authority, but then you're going to look to the states. So look to the states to advise Congress. That's the question. I'm not trying to be a trouble. I'm just trying to make sure we
No.
get on.
I understand, sir. I meant that in the context of, I'm sure there is a role for the Department of Interior. I do not currently work in the building, but my understanding of the Constitution is that it gives that authority to Congress.
Right, we agree. Mr. Garish.
Senator, I'm not familiar enough with the subject to be able to provide much of an opinion. However, it would seem to me that, as I understand it, that this is a matter for Congress.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator, for the question. I appreciate the issue that you raised as the nominee for the EIA administrator position, which is policy neutral. I unfortunately am not able to respond.
All right, thank you. I'm out of time.
Thank you, Senator Hickenlooper.